People always say you never forget your first love. And honestly, I used to think that was just another cliché adults repeat to sound deep. But then 10 years passed, and I realized they were right. I was 16 when I met her. Her name was Emma. She transferred to our school in the middle of the year, which instantly made everyone curious about her. New people always stood out in small schools. I still remember the first time I saw her. Rain outside, gray morning, everyone half asleep before class. And then she walked into the room, carrying a stack of books against her chest, looking nervous, like she already wanted to leave. There was nothing dramatic about it, but for some reason, my eyes followed her immediately. At first, we barely spoke, just random moments, borrowing pens, short conversations after class, awkward smiles in the hallway. But slowly, those little moments started becoming the best part of my day. I'd catch myself looking for her in the crowd, checking if she was online at night, overthinking every tiny interaction like it meant something huge. And maybe it sounds stupid now, but when you're 16, feelings feel bigger than the world itself. One evening after school, we ended up walking home together completely by accident. It was freezing outside, the streets were empty, and we spent almost an hour talking about everything: music, dreams, fears, what kind of future we imagined for ourselves. And I remember this so clearly. For the first time in my life, I felt understood by someone, not judged, not ignored, understood. After that, we became inseparable. People at school already assumed we were dating before we even admitted it ourselves. We stayed up texting until 3 a.m., shared headphones during lunch breaks, sat together during every class we could, and somehow, she became part of every little routine in my life. That's the dangerous thing about first love. You don't notice how deeply someone enters your world until they become part of it. Then one night, while we were sitting on the roof of her apartment building watching the city lights, she kissed me, and I swear, for a few seconds, it felt like the world completely stopped moving. At 16, moments like that feel eternal, like nothing bad could ever happen afterward. But life doesn't really care how deeply you feel things when you're young. A few months later, everything started changing. Arguments over stupid things, longer reply times, coldness where warmth used to be. And the worst part, neither of us knew how to fix it. We were just kids trying to handle emotions too big for us. The breakup itself wasn't dramatic. No screaming, no cheating. Honestly, that almost made it worse. One evening, she just looked at me and quietly said, "I think we're hurting each other more than loving each other now." And that sentence destroyed me more than anger ever could. After that, school felt unbearable. Seeing her in the hallways, hearing her laugh with other people, pretending I was okay when I absolutely wasn't. I stopped sleeping properly, stopped enjoying things, and for the first time in my life, I understood what people meant by a broken heart, because it actually felt physical, like something inside me had collapsed. Eventually, graduation came. Life moved on. Different cities, different people, different lives. Years passed, and somehow, despite everything, a part of me still carried her. Then, exactly 10 years late, I saw her again. It happened completely randomly. I was standing in line at a small coffee shop after work when I heard someone quietly say my name. I turned around, and there she was, Emma, older, different, but still somehow instantly familiar. And for a second, I felt 16 again. We ended up sitting together for almost 2 hours, talking about life, about work, about all the years in between. And what hurt the most was realizing we had both become the people we needed back then, just 10 years too late. Before leaving, she smiled at me and said, "You know, I really did love you." And honestly, out of everything that happened that day, that sentence stayed with me the longest. Sometimes your first love doesn't come back to restart the story. Sometimes they come back years later just to remind you who you used to be, how deeply you once felt, and how one person can stay in your heart long after they're gone. And every now and then, late at night, I still think about that girl from school and the version of me who believed love could last forever.